Presently he came up and said, "If it's old Baz you're after, he's gone to Spain." "Rain, rain, go to Spain. And when will he be back again?" "When he comes for the next batch. Old Baz is a travel agent now, didn't you know? Joined up with his granddad. Some people are lucky in their relations. Baz herds them out to the Costa Brava, goes into hiding while they live it up there, and brings back the bodies a week later. Oh, that's the general idea. He's only just started the work." Travel agent? Grandad? What did the child mean? Was not this a line of talk intended to keep me here until a man who was walking up the street should be out of sight? There was nobody else about. This dread Teddy, armed no doubt with blades, was clearly after my bag and the £28. I gave him a nervous, idiotic smile. "Thank you very much," I said. "That's just what I thought. Goodbye, and thank you." Upper Street was near, and very soon I was in a good old number 19, sagely ambling towards Piccadilly. This sort of thing always happened when I tried to see Basil. Oh well, one must put oneself in his shoes. Why should he want to spend his Saturday afternoon with a middle-aged mother? What a bore for a young man, on his own for the first time, to have to watch this elderly woman messing about in his room and taking away his suits. All the same, it was not like him to throw one over quite so callously. What could have happened? How could I find out? Meanwhile, here I was in London on a Saturday afternoon with nothing to do until tea-time. We were passing the National Gallery, but I felt too dispirited to go in. I decided to walk off my bad temper in the park. Though I have lived in London for longish periods at various times in my life, I have never been a Londoner, so that its associations to me are more literary and historic than personal. Every time I visit it, I am saddened by seeing changes for the worse, the growing inelegance, the loss of character, the disappearance of landmarks, and their replacement by flat and faceless glass houses. When I got off my bus at Hyde Park Corner, I looked sadly at the huge hotel where Montdore House used to be, in Park Lane. When first built, it had been hailed as a triumph of modern architecture, but although it had only stood there for 3 years, it had already become shabby, the colour of old teeth, and in an odd way, out of date. I stumped off towards Kensington Gardens. Somebody had told me that Knightsbridge Barracks were soon to go, so I said goodbye to them. I had never looked at them very carefully. I now saw that they were solid and well built, in a pretty mixture of brick and stone. No masterpiece, but certainly far better than the glorified garage that would replace them. Wendy's wishing well is horribly altered, I noted, and what has happened to the trees in the Broad Walk? However, Kensington Palace is still there, though probably not for long, and eccentric old men are still sailing boats on the Round Pond, which has not as yet been dried and levelled and turned into a car park. Presently, drops of rain began to fall. It was 3:30. Uncle Matthew never minds one being early. I decided to make for his mews at once. If he were in, he would be pleased to see me. If not, I could wait for him in a little sheltered place where the dust-bins are kept. Uncle Matthew had handed over Alconley to his only surviving son, Bob Radlett, keeping a small Regency house on the estate for himself. Aunt Sadie was delighted by this exchange. She liked being nearer the village. The new house got sunshine all day, and it amused her to do it up. Indeed, newly painted from top to toe and containing what little good furniture there had been at Alconley, it had become a much more desirable residence than the other. But hardly had they moved into it than my uncle fell out with Bob. The eternal story of the old king and the young king. Bob had his own ideas about shooting and estate management. Uncle Matthew disagreed violently with every innovation. His son-in-law, Fort William, his brother-in-law, Davy Warbeck, and such neighbours as were on speaking terms with Uncle Matthew had all warned him that this would happen. They had been invited to mind their own business. Now that they had been proved right, he refused to admit the real cause of his chagrin and persuaded himself that Bob's wife, Jennifer, was to blame. He pronounced his intense dislike for her. Her vicinity, he said, was not to be endured. Poor Jennifer was quite inoffensive. She only wished to please, and this was so obvious that even Uncle Matthew, when asked to explain the reason for his hatred,